Good afternoon. Welcome to OptionsTender. It's Tuesday, October 14th, 2025. What an exciting day. Huge bounce here. We were right in the morning. We were looking for this bounce. I didn't think that the retracement would go into really. We're getting to the retracements, the fib retracements that we're targeting for this bounce. And, we warned that there could be a flat pattern. So I'll go through all that in the lower time frames. We'll go through SPX and SPY and the VIX, and we'll try to keep this fairly short. I do want to mention the Discord once again. So one thing that some of our traders are working out here, Flying Disc was looking at Oklo. He's been on fire with his trades, and so one of them's Oklo, and in his trade ideas right here, selling some Oklo commons, and I really like this trade. We're working it out, and I'll show you the chart. Not a whole lot on there. I don't really chart. I don't really do Oklo very much, but we are at one of our fibs here from this major retracement. We had an extension from there all the way up to 400%, and he's got a different cluster that's working with resistance as well. So just fantastic trades, and also there was a we added on our cheddar data, so we have order flow coming in and dark pools. And so with that said, I'm not going to go searching through there, but he pulled up. I'm in the wrong area. In the stock talk, where is it at? He pulled up some of the flow here, and so that's going right along with some big money puts, about $500,000 worth of a position, and that's just some of the flow that's going into puts into Oklo, as it's in a huge blow off top here. And there's many divergences that we can go through that are on this as well. So great setup, and kudos to you. And we have Jeff there. If you notice, he's working out a setup with NVIDIA. So yeah, love the Discord. Join us in there. So by the way, we're doing this intraday about 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to get these videos intraday along with that Discord, it's 99 cents a month. You can go through Patreon, you can go through YouTube. Jump in there, you guys. This is fantastic. We have trade alerts. Great week going on here. So here's our let's jump into it. We have SPX on the daily time frame. On the naked chart here, we'll look at this bearish engulfing candle, had an inside day, gap down today, and we heeded warning right in the morning, said, hey, watch out, you guys. This may be a flat pattern, which usually is considered a trap, a bear trap, and we had that. So clearly there's some sort of maybe short squeeze that's happening today, and we had Powell talking just afternoon. And now we're having a bullish engulfing here. I don't think we're going to go much further, but tomorrow still could be a little bit more bullish day, and I'll show you that in the lower time frames. But excellent setup here inside. And just a warning, things are moving quick, so I don't think this is the case. But just know that we had a engulfing week, and we could have an inside week, all right, before heading lower. So all of our puts that we're looking to, we're already in. We protected our swing trades, and any other puts that we put on here. I'm not looking to short into this expiration Friday. I'm looking for next week and beyond. Okay, all right. So with that said, our trend, we're starting to change trend. We're getting into the red here. You have that buy signal. So is that going to work out? I think it's going to be a whipsaw opposite of this. So we kept going, you whipped here. I think we're going to have that whipsaw and we continue red. So let's see. We had the divergences play out here with the smart MACD, and it's starting to play out right now in the red. Let's see if that continues. Moving averages, we're pushing against that 8 EMA in the 20. So yesterday we talked about adding shorts and being careful not trusting that this is going to spike through first and then go down. We actually rejected right off of it, had some great weekly puts that we took profit off of, and certainly jumped into some pretty large hedge call positions, and we're right up against that moving average here again. So I do think this one has the potential to spike up above just a little bit, but you see the momentum starting to turn and the trend is turning. McClellan oscillator. Let's put on the traditional technical analysis look. We have this wedge that was forming, broke down aggressively from that wedge, and potentially is backtesting. And whether you backtest all the way up to the wedge or not, that's not really the point. It's just coming back. It doesn't have to touch it. And so we're getting back into that neutral area for breadth, and then I think we continue lower and probably deeper than this last one. So here's our setup with the RSI MACD. We have our MACD. We have a bearish cross. The momentum is down. Beautiful histograms here. This divergence is playing out. All right, slow stoch is still heading lower, and I think that's going to continue to cycle. And what's happening right now is just kind of testing here, just like here. You test back to the leader line, and you continue lower. Test back, lower. Not to the leader line tests back. Okay, and then the RSI, again, there's negative divergence playing out. RSI got a little bit oversold, get that bounce. I still think it's going to go lower. If this is a wave 3 coming up, we're probably going to get into a possible single digits here. And then after that, continue lower, but also with bullish divergence. And we should see a nice big bounce here. So we do these videos each and every day. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you can get these videos and updates. And clearly you're seeing that we're bouncing off that 50 simple moving average as well. And so you're getting that nice bounce. And you know, the bulls are probably arguing that this is going to go higher, and so be it. You know, we're going to certainly hedge into it, but we have this beautiful bear setup here. Okay. And so I'll show you exactly what I'm doing on the lower time frame. D-mark. All right, we're continuing our count. We have a 1, 2, 3 so far. I want to see a 9 count to the downside, see if that possibly comes into play. No setup yet. Let's go to SPY. Let's go to the divergences first. All right, let's put on the money flow index. This is distribution and accumulation, and we're distributing right now. So we had that negative divergence here starting to play out. I want to see this cycle all the way down, but no setup off that at this point. We already had the setup. And same with the Bollinger Band. You know, you're kind of getting these two-way trades here, and it's beautiful. This is such a beautiful trading environment for traders. We're almost to the golden pocket on SPY, so I might have to pause this in a second because I want to take off some of the shorter term hedges that I have on there for the call. So I'll keep going until we probably will get alert. So we had our Bollinger Band up here. It has not expanded yet. First of all, I want to say that, and I do expect it to expand to the upside or expand to the downside. So we hit the top of the Bollinger Band. We were overbought with negative divergence. It played out all the way to the bottom of the band. You got that bounce. You got that gap up on Monday, and so that was a great trade in itself. And it came right back down today. And you know, I know it's not oversold. But that's still, you know, I guess a kind of a setup here, but we're getting into that 20 exponential moving average, which is the middle of the band, and that's pretty typical. So on the upside, you get your trades off of the top and you come back to that 20, right? So we're starting to do the opposite. I know that's the same moving average as that we use in this trend setup here. So volume shelf, we talked about that yesterday. We're really looking to get into this volume shelf right here. And you can see where the lows are. And right now you can see that we're also on SPY. We can look at the traditional look here. The traditional look, we're looking for that head and shoulder setup, and it's playing out nicely so far, but obviously we have to reject. It could go up a little bit higher if it wants to be symmetrical. And you'll see that those fib extensions coming up soon. And this is the proper measured move. We did that in yesterday's video. You just take a simple line here from head to shoulder, or excuse me, head to neckline, and then you place it on the breakdown area, and it gives us down to 635. So 635 is going to be a great target for us, and then we're actually targeting down here lower, and I'll show you again on the lower time frames around we'll call it 620. Could spike through around that area. Volatility starts to rise, price will go through and whip back up through different moves, whether it's on the upside or downside. LA to oscillator, still in the green, nothing to show here, no setup. I'm not going to go through all the major targets here because we did that yesterday. So let's move on. Let's go to the VIX. VIX is really, really bullish. And what I want to see is this ticket. So earlier today, how did we kind of guess we were in a bull trap or bear trap? Well, the VIX was going higher. It got a brand new high and right into resistance. This resistance was a very good point here. Okay, really good resistance. And so that's when we were warning, hey, maybe we're not going to make new lows. You could have spiked through a new low and you would got an expanded flat, but this was certainly a clue here. Okay, so we're getting pretty close going into next week to have a cycle low here. I would really, really like to see this setup happen and this spike even higher and go through this resistance here and then have a sharp pullback into this dominant cycle and minor cycle low here going into next week. So let's see what happens in the beginning of the week. This is kind of lining up that the market moves so heavily to the upside today. So let's check out the lower time frame so we can show you exactly what I'm talking about. All right, going to the 65. Here's our traditional look. All right, I was trying to find places that the market may bounce, and clearly that's the channel bottom. We actually had that on the daily time frame and confluence with the horizontal support there. So we're at the options expected move to the upper end. This is an options expiration with volatility rising. It's possible that we hit that lower edge, but it's not a typical situation when you hit one edge down to the other. Last time we did that was the April lows when volatility was just kicking. All right, you hit both ends at the options expected moves. Very, very rare. It's not probable, but keep an open mind. Okay, so again, this is our traditional look. We're looking for that head and shoulder setup. We have the gaps here. We close this gap today. What else? There's our measured move. So that measured move takes us down to about 630. 635, somewhere around there, depending on where your neckline is, right? So this would be a little bit more conservative right there, because then that's the two lows there. All right, so right in that zone, right to that gap. Let's do some of the... So here's our trend. Our trend remains down. We're fighting with that 20 moving average right now. We're getting a little bit of green here, lifting off in the smart MACD, and so just indicating a bounce so far. I think it's a dead cat bounce, and this could have been the end right here, but what gave us that clue? I'll show you in just a minute. Let's look at these indicators. So we're fighting with some of these moving averages. I suspect there's a 200 we're bouncing off of, and we're rejecting off of some of these up here. So it could be, again, like I said, this could end up being an inside week. So you could see this trend line up here, and then we draw a trend line there, and this becomes an equilibrium. And then next week we continue lower. We'll have to see what price gives us. All right, so we're almost to that overbought territory on this bounce. So that's what we're looking for. We had this slow stoke giving us some tailwinds for this bounce. So I do still suspect that this bounce goes a little bit higher. We're starting to get a bull cross here. So let's pay attention to this. Does this bring us to new all-time highs, this bull cross? I don't know. This could be a whipsaw and continue lower. Okay, D-Mark. We're at a 1-2 count so far. Money flow index bounced off the bottom. Again, this can cycle lower and continue to cycle, but not much here. We'll have to see what, as these candles close, if it goes a little higher. Not much accumulation there. Bollinger Band fighting with the middle. You saw that setup here. Again, that was a buy signal right here. Not a true setup. We weren't oversold, but still off the bottom of that Bollinger Band. Now we're at the middle. Elliott Oscillator still in the red. I do suspect this will stay in the red for a while. Okay, so what was another clue here? What was the clue that said, hey, this might be a complex move? Now, we did talk, we brushed up on it yesterday, but now we have a lot more information. So we were here fighting with that 50% retracement from top to bottom here. Got to there, couldn't get above. And so I said, hey, this might be the end of A. All right. B could be sideways. It can be anything. It's the hardest wave to trade. And clearly, it was a deep B wave. Didn't make new lows, but it didn't matter. It just be called an expanding flat rather than a regular flat. So since we had that very low, very steep, deep retracement, we're looking for that C wave. This is now a flat pattern. Now it's confirmed that we have a flat pattern. Is it done? Probably not. You have some unfinished business here. And within this wave, clearly it's an impulse. That was all today. What a move. And then going into the golden pocket here. All right. Maybe it consolidates a little bit into the end of the day, and then you get the rest of the move tomorrow. That's possible. So we're looking for a rejection. We're looking to be, now we're net short again. Okay. So we're net short, but I'm going to take off more of our calls. So what was the game plan? Here's what we told our members in the $4.99 member video. I said, hey, we're looking for this to be possibly a flat pattern. We added on hedges. We added on our puts, our swings here, because price didn't have to. It doesn't have to go higher. I've seen it retrace off the 382 and continue lower. That just means it's a lot more bearish. So got to the 50, but that gave us a clue that we have unfinished business. Okay, so when price was down here, we added on two specific call hedges. All right, a bundle of calls at the 666 for Thursday this week, and 670 for Friday this week, because our correction shouldn't take any longer than that. So that, and now we want to scale out of those other calls, the 666 strike calls. We're getting ready to get out of those. And then we'll let the other ones ride as hedges as we add on to our primary put positions. Actually, not adding on to those. We're actually adding a shorter expiration. We went out to the end of October. Now we're adding into next week for those puts. Okay, so that was our strategy, managing a portfolio. You can trade any way you like. That's just the way I trade, and it works out for me. So, all right. Anything else? Let's go for the fix here. Well, now that we're getting ready to look for a reversal, again, we want to talk about after this flat pattern is complete, whether it's up to the 786 or the golden pocket here, we can start to measure our move. So if we go to the lows from high to low, okay, of this wave one, and the retracement, if it reversed at the golden pocket, we're looking at about 633. But let's be more conservative and assume that it only makes it or that it makes it all the way up to the 786. Now your 162 extension is at 636. Now wave 3, so that would be 1. You have your flat pattern for 2. Wave 3, if it makes it to this point and beyond, then we can start to confirm that this is it's a higher probability that this is a trend change, and we have 5 waves going. So we'll be looking for a third wave, and then a bounce at some point. It doesn't have to be here, but look where it is. You know, you have some good lows, you have some good volume in here. We'll see where it goes to, but you'll look for your wave 3, and then a bounce for wave 4, and then we'll look for that last short into our second target. So we have target 1, that previous wave 2, and that previous wave 4 is our second target. And the reason why the second target is that's our primary target, because we had this ending diagonal here, and it's highly probable that price makes it back to the end of where it started. All right, and that brings us to about that 620 area. Doesn't that fit everything else we've been talking about? Yes. Let's check out the VIX and get this out to you. So VIX on the 65, and again, we're at the bottom of this options expected move. Do we hit the upper end? VIX works a little different. It moves a lot more. So even if this one hits both ends, doesn't mean the rest of the market's going to do it. All right, so it's getting a little VIX crush here. Made that new high into resistance, closing the gap, getting back to the options expected move, closing the gap. Maybe we close that before we start higher. And then again, I don't think these new lows should happen. You have this market structure, higher highs, the higher lows, it got compressed, and now the structure has to play out. All right, maybe this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of a structure here that played out. Then you have this positive structure that needs to play out right now, and then this next one should play out after, right? And then you get a larger pullback from that point. So that's what we're looking at, you guys. I'm looking at this next move. Possibly, we already hit this one. Maybe hitting this next peak up here. And you see it did respect this point, even though it gapped over at 29. So let's see if we hit this 29.30 mark on this next move, and we'll go from there. All right. Thanks for joining us here at OptionsTender. Join us in the Discord. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you. Oh, wait a minute. I had somebody ask me, and I don't look at too many of the comments because they're so negative in YouTube, but the dollar, I did do a video on the dollar recently, but let's check this out super fast. All right. Dollar, monthly, channel bottom, equilibrium, downtrend, breakout, back test in a 3-wave corrective move. I'm bullish the dollar. Weekly. All right, hit that channel bottom. Here's a lot of price action at this apex right here. We're trading right through that. We're above it. We're getting a breakout. Inverse head and shoulder, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, neckline. Dollar's breaking out. Daily. Oh, that's on the daily time frame. Let's see if the weekly shows anything different. Nah, same thing. All right, we should get some resistance up here at around $100 here. But I think we bottomed. We have the positive divergence with these lows here. I think we bottomed out. We move down to the daily just in case there's something drawn here. Yes, our wedge. Okay. A bullish falling wedge into support, positive divergence, breakout. Okay. And here's big resistance around 100. I know I exaggerated that, but it caught a lot of wicks. Okay. All right. That's it, you guys. We'll see you in the next video. Good luck trading.